So one thing that's pretty surprising to discover is when we reenact the same damaging behavior that we were wounded by. So this comes up often with clients of, wow, I've identified how a certain behavior of maybe a parent or adult around me as a child, how that severely damaged me and created an exile in myself and a childhood wound that has contributed to the framework of my psyche and has now created this chain reaction of trauma and damage. And I comprehend how damaging that behavior was, perhaps of a parent to say, your best isn't good enough, no matter what you do, until you're at the very top of your class, and then the top of the industry, and then the top of the whole world. You never are. You'll never be good enough, and you should never be proud of yourself. Anything you accomplish is not noteworthy, and it's not worth celebrating until you're the very, very best. So a person that experienced that and was wounded by that and created all types of wounds and negative, faulty beliefs will comprehend fully how far-reaching the damage can be, and then be really, really shocked when they discover that exact same behavior inside themselves. When they discover a part of them, often a protector, that carries those exact same beliefs, that someone's never good enough unless they're the very best, unless they're on the top of the hill, and they shouldn't feel proud of themselves or celebrate or feel special or feel confident until they are the king of the mountain, and then use berating language to create motivation, and maybe even have a taskmaster with a whip and just demeaning, degrading communication internally to try and create motivation to work harder, to keep going, and try to become the very best. So people can ask, how on earth is this possible, that I have the same thing inside of me that hurt me in the first place, and that I know is not helpful, like that I know is very, very damaging? And so the reason is our system will adopt whatever it sees around us. So if we have, the exile, say the piece of your psyche that took on the wound of a parent or a role model communicating to us, you really shouldn't feel confidence or happiness or be proud of yourself or love yourself or accept yourself or celebrate and ever take a break or be playful unless you're at the top. That can create a wound of, wow, I'm not worthy of love unless I'm number one. If I'm not perfect at everything I do, I could lose connection and love and worth, and it'll be evidence and proof that something's wrong with me, that I'm not good enough, that I should be ashamed of who I am, and that can create the need and the panic of like, wow, just for me to be allowed to be happy, allowed to be loved, allowed to feel lovable, and be able to feel comfortable with myself instead of ashamed of myself, I'm gonna have to be perfect. Okay. Crap, how am I gonna be perfect? How am I gonna be perfect? This is high stakes, I'm freaking out. I have to find a way to be perfect in order to be lovable or to be happy. How am I gonna do this? And so that's when our system can look around, so to say, for a way of like, we gotta find a way to do this. What is it gonna be? What is it gonna be? And we can look back through anything we've witnessed in our life. Well, this is all like subconscious, through childhood, of like, what are methods I could use to motivate myself, to increase drive, to keep this top of mind for myself, to help me stay focused and not forget how critical it is that I'm always trying to be perfect, that I'm always doing everything that's within reach to try and be perfect. And then whatever we have in our toolbox or whatever we have in our experience will often include the behaviors we witnessed in the people around us, including our abusers or our parents or the people that we ended up receiving a wound from. And so our system will say like, okay, that'll work, and it will take that and use that, even though it's the exact same behavior that caused the wound in the first place. So it's it's quite a duality, or like a yin-yang of embodying the monster that wounded us. It also creates a really beautiful, beautiful opportunity when we go on our healing journey and becoming observant and identifying these different parts of us and the different coping mechanisms they're utilizing and what their positive intent is and what their needs are. And as we go into that, it can actually help us comprehend other people and comprehend people who we've experienced a wound from or hurt from. And this even happens for really extreme things. So people who experienced outright malicious, repetitive, intense abuse will often have a piece of the same behavior, thoughts, etc. that the abuser held within themselves, which can be really, really intense to become conscious of and to feel like, how could that be within me? How can I feel similar feelings of the thing that I found extremely disdainful and disrespectful and damaging and abusive? But it's just a part of the experience, and it can be healed as well. Everything can be healed and supported and facilitated through its process of growing and shifting with compassion and acceptance and love. So we might say consciously, I never want to be like my parents, or I never want to do that thing that I witnessed not be healthy or helpful. And then if we find ourselves in that, yeah, it does hurt and suck for a minute as we become aware of that. And we can take a deep breath and then continue on the process of doing the work to heal that. And it can be healed and it can shift, and the positive intent behind it can become known, and we can find healthier ways to fulfill the needs that it was trying to fill. Our subconscious mind is only wanting to keep us safe and comfortable and help us avoid pain, so it always has positive intent, only positive intent for us. But the way it's going about doing it can be very counterproductive and very harmful and hurtful to ourselves and other people, but it can heal. And I've never met a part, no matter how abusive or how destructive, that when I got to the core of it and I saw its positive intent, it didn't bring me to tears. So we can love and accept ourselves even when we find these specific coping mechanisms or belief patterns inside ourselves. We can get through it, and it's okay. And our core self is still powerful and beautiful, and all of our parts, all of our subconscious mind just has positive intent for us. And with love, compassion, holding space and acceptance, and helping each wound shift and heal, we can replace and utilize healthy and supportive approaches to getting our needs met.